From ruin to restoration, restoration in God is not repair. It's resurrection. He doesn't just patch up what's broken. He breathes into what was lifeless. He doesn't just rewind your story. He rewrites it. What the world labels as too far gone, God sees as perfectly positioned for glory. You may feel like everything collapsed. Your relationships, your reputation, your sense of worth. But listen closely. The ruins are not your end. They are His canvas. When God restores, He does not return you to who you were. He leads you into who you were, always meant to become. Job lost everything, and God gave him double, not just in substance, but in wisdom, in reverence, in destiny. Joseph was thrown in a pit, then prison. And when God lifted him, He didn't just restore his freedom, He restored his function as a ruler, as a redeemer for others. The man at the temple gate, born lame, labeled, discarded. But after one touch from heaven, he didn't just walk. He leapt. He didn't just blend in. He stood out as a living testimony to a restoring God. And you are not disqualified. You are not too wounded. You are not too late. What you call a grave, God calls the beginning of glory. He is still the God who makes rivers in wastelands, strength in weakness, beauty from ashes. So don't ask Him to return you to who you were before the pain. Ask Him to rebuild you stronger through the pain. Ask Him to use the broken pieces as building blocks for something eternal. Because restoration in God is not about regaining what was lost. It's about receiving what is new and better and eternal. So whisper it now. Lord, don't just fix me. Restore me. Fully. Deeply. And for your glory. From story to testimony, you weren't just saved for survival. You were saved for significance. You weren't just rescued to move on. You were redeemed to speak out. Your scars were never meant to be hidden. They were meant to shine, to declare, He brought me through this. Too many believers walk silently, afraid that if people knew their past, they'd question their future. But grace doesn't erase your past. It reframes it. It turns it from evidence against you into evidence of Him. You may have been the addict, the angry one, the one who almost didn't make it. But now, you're the one who carries light. And it's not because you got stronger. It's because mercy held you. Because Jesus stooped down, picked you up, and didn't let go. Your lowest place became the deepest altar. Your worst moment became the doorway to His greatest move. He turned your shame into platform, your trauma into oil, your breakdown into breakthrough. You don't need to sound perfect to be powerful. You just need to be honest. God doesn't anoint the masks we wear. He anoints the wounds we surrender. That's why your story matters. It's not yours to keep. It's heaven's to release. The same mouth that once cursed can now bless. The same hands that once tore down can now build up. The same heart that once wandered now burns with purpose. People need to see the version of you that only God could have made. Because that version speaks louder than sermons, wider than pulpits, deeper than doctrine. So stop hiding your history. Let it declare His goodness. Let your story be the bridge someone else walks across. From broken to bold, from lost to loved, from hopeless to holy. This isn't about pride. It's about praise. Because when you speak, the heavens echo. Yes, that's my child, redeemed, chosen, used for glory. And when hell hears it, it trembles. Because what once tried to kill you is now your testimony. So speak, not because you've arrived, but because grace found you along the way. Speak, not because you're flawless, but because the blood still works. Speak, because someone needs to hear that God still does new things. Through people like you, through stories like yours. Prayer for the new thing. Lord, you know me better than I know myself. You see beyond my words, beyond my weariness, beyond the walls I've built. I'm not just tired of the battle. I'm tired of pretending I'm okay. I'm tired of hoping for change, while clinging to the things you asked me to release. So I come honestly, not in strength, but in surrender. Not with answers, but with ashes. And I ask you, do a new thing in me. Not a temporary repair, but a total recreation. Rip out the roots of what's been rotting me from within. Pull up the patterns I keep repeating. Forgive me for being afraid of new, for calling it risky, when really it was righteousness knocking. Forgive me for sitting in places you asked me to stand up from, for building houses in seasons you were trying to move me through. I've settled for survival, but I was born for revival. So resurrect what has died in me. Resurrect wonder. Resurrect boldness. Resurrect purpose. Resurrect the fire that once burned for your presence alone. I confess. I've chased things that didn't fulfill me. I've prayed safe prayers. I've avoided the stretching because it hurt. But now, I stretch out my hands, like dry branches in a barren land, and I say, rain again. Rain on my dreams. Rain on my discipline. Rain on my faith. Lord, I don't just want breakthrough. I want buildup. I don't just want you to take me out of this season. I want you to take this season and put it to work. Use the pain to carve character. Use the delay to grow deeper trust. Teach me how to wait with joy, how to move without fear, how to rise when I fall. I believe you're doing something I can't yet see, and that is enough for me to keep believing. So if all you give me today is strength to keep surrendering, then I will still call this day blessed. I trust you with the slow process, the unseen work, the underground healing, because new beginnings often feel like endings. But you don't need my comfort to create glory. So I lay it all down. I tear up the backup plan, and I cling to your whisper. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Do you not perceive it? And I say, yes, Lord, I perceive it. I receive it. And I give you all the glory for it. Amen. When the prayer ends, but God continues, when the final Amen fades and the world rushes in, don't rush with it. Let your spirit linger here, even if your body must move forward, because something eternal just happened. Even if nothing external changed yet, heaven heard. Heaven recorded. Heaven responded. Your prayer didn't bounce off the ceiling. It landed on the altar of God's mercy. And that altar, it still burns. Long after your voice grows quiet. So walk differently now. Not because the road got easier, but because your posture is different. You are walking with faith under your feet, peace in your chest, vision in your eyes. Let today be holy. Not because it's pain-free, but because its presence filled. Let every interruption remind you, you're not alone. Let every challenge remind you, you are not without power. Because the new thing God is doing is not just circumstantial, it's internal and deeply personal. You're not just entering a new season, you're becoming a new person. The shift already began with your surrender. So don't measure progress by results. Measure it by alignment. Is your heart more open? Is your spirit more still? Is your trust more rooted? Then the new is already happening. Even if you still see shadows, walk like one who knows the sun is rising. Even if the door hasn't opened, wait like one who already heard the latch unlock. Return to this space, not out of religious routine, but because your soul has tasted something holy here. This isn't performance, it's pursuit. You're not chasing answers, you're following a voice. And that voice will not lead you in circles. It leads you forward, through deserts, over valleys, into promise. So let the final word today not be Amen. Let it be, I'm ready. I'm ready to walk it out, to return tomorrow, to trust even in the tension, because the one who promised is faithful. And he's not just doing a new thing around me, he's doing a new thing within me. And I say yes. Every day. Every step. Amen.